Hey everyone, this is Knorgard. We got Niklas Wandt with us. Tell us, what did you play?
Okay, I played a Dune case event and I got top 8 with Guardian Chimera or Chimera the deck, the new deck from Duelist Nexus. Yeah.
Why did you pick that deck?
So first of all, new decks, the players always don't know what the cards do, so that's a huge advantage. And also the deck has a lot of potential because it is a very, very good one card deck. You get a lot of value and a very good end board out of one card, and it synergizes very good with other fusion engines.
Alright, before we get into the main deck, do you want to give any shoutouts?
Yeah, shoutouts to my local card shop, Ele, Y Magic. Shoutouts to Doba for building this deck with me, and shoutouts to Gnorgard for also assisting.
Alright, let's get into main deck.
Okay. So first of all, we have the 6 in-engine one-card starters in Quaddle and Swords Knight. Quaddle, you can discard this and add a monster that mentions the Chimera fusion in its text, and Mirror Swords Knight is kind of the same, but it special summons it when you tribute it from field, and this is a quick effect. And they both have good graveyard effects for interruption. Then we have free Gazelle. This is basically your main, or those two, Baphomet and Gazelle, are basically your two combo pieces. You always want to have those with a fusion, so you can go into your normal Chimera plays. I will not explain the effects further, because if you watch this video, you should know the effects.
Did you
So
think
only,
about playing the original Gazelle and Baphomet because of the fusion spell, or is it just like
um,
not needed?
I mean, it's 2 bricks. That's kind of the sad part about it, but special summoning is a very good effect, but I wouldn't recommend it as you don't really need it. You get so much advantage anyways.
Okay.
Okay, the next fusion engine is Edgimp. I will
Mm-hmm.
just shortcut this a little bit with
Yeah.
free patchwork and how to search it. The 2 polymerization.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just explain these ratios for a second. So patchwork is of course the best one, as it gives you both poly and edgem right to your hand, which is very important for like guarding Chimera going second, for example, or for other combo plays. And edgem and free is actually also pretty nice because it's a fiend. That's like the synergy, because for your fusions you need a fiend and a beast most of the time, and then you can grab the patchwork to get even more value. Poly
Mm-hmm.
is like the worst one, and there are ways to recycle it.
All right.
Okay. Um, Next up, we have the very, very small branded engine. So 1 Albas, 1 Aluber, and 1 Kit. So Kit is quite generic in this deck. It's a level 4 beast, so you can search it off your Baphomet. And so you can just fuse it in the opponent's turn and bring it back with the small fusion. So you have a branded fusion as follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
Albas is, of course, engine requirement for the branded deck, and Alubar is just for the branded opening as our only target.
Mm-hmm. Why do you only
The,
play one?
so the chance of drawing both opening and Alubar is very, very low. It's like 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in that case, you still can play. It's not like that you're like super dead. You can still normal sum this, grab Granite Fusion, and do some stuff, but it's not as good. And that is like the worst possible outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, you have any of these and you can go off.
Mm-hmm.
Also, opening is basically a one-card starter. You just need the discard, but that's
Yeah.
quite easy in this deck because you can grab Branded Fusion, and Branded Fusion by itself is one-card combo.
Okay.
So, okay, free Branded Fusion. I will not further
Yeah.
go into that. Then we have free Chimera Fusions. This card is insane. The on-field effect is not once per turn, and you can recycle it in your main combo when you have the fusions up. And it's basically a generic fusion, but you need to use illusion monster, beast monster, or a fiend monster, which is pretty much everything in your deck.
And
Uh,
why 3 over 2? What's the advantage?
So the one advantage is the Baphomet is a huge choke point when you summon it off the Mirror's Knight,
Yeah.
and when you can just chain the Chimera fusion, and for example you have a Gazelle already in hand, you just do your normal combo, add Kit and another fusion, summon the small fusion, add this back to your hand, and they wasted an hand card. That's
Yeah.
like super plus.
So for impermanent Vela, you mean?
Yes, and also
Okay.
like going second, you want as many fusion spells as possible because those break the
Yeah.
boards.
All right.
Okay, then we have some tech cards. I decided actually to play free Book of Moon, free Book of Eclipse, and the card that I think is just mandatory in this deck, free Talents. I will explain Talents first, I think. So your main fusion always rips a hand card. You can um, always rips a hand card, and if your opponent uses an edge, for example, and you can or you manage to play through it, still summon the fusion, rip one in the end phase, and before that you use talents before you proceed to end phase. You can see their hand, rip another card, and because of the likelihood of getting rid of one of two cards, uh, yes,
Yeah.
one of two cards, you can pretty much shut down their entire play lines. And also draw two and take is pretty
Yeah.
good.
Sometimes you just want to draw into a fusion.
Yeah. And then the 6 books, because I think Purely and Kashtira are pretty much the best decks at the moment. And those cards just they are blowouts against those matchups.
Yeah.
And also against other matchups, like even against Twin Runic Sprite going first, those are pretty strong interruptions. And like basically against every matchup you will find a card you can hit with this.
Yeah.
And another pretty important aspect of these cards is, like I've already said, the Baphomet is a huge choke point for impermanence and effect Veiler. So you can just chain those to the imperm, for example, to set your Baphomet, and then the imperm resolves it without effect.
Yeah. And you can just fuse the face down anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can just say that now I don't play anything else but fusions. So there's like nothing that hinders me about
Yeah.
just taking the names off field. Okay, so I think now the extract. So 2 guarding Chimera. I think this is just mandatory. You need to. 3 is not necessary. You could recycle it with some effects. But this is like the best card going first and second. Like
Yeah.
going first, you set up it for the opponent's turn, and going second, this is just. If you summon this with poly chain blockers, you just pop cards, draw cards,
Yeah.
and they can't respond. That's insane. So we have the new fusion. This is the major piece of the end board, as the Swords Knight gives this an effect negation basically for monsters on field. You can rip a hand card, you can shift it from grave to summon something else. Just a super good card. Then we have one of the big fusions. This is just for OTK lines, but actually it's way easier than you think. Like normally, if you have to take this plus 2 illusion monsters, it's quite a heavy cost. But I will just show this now. Lubellion, for example, can just shuffle from Banished Pyre from graveyard back
Yeah. You
into the
just
deck.
shuffle everything.
Yeah, and at max, this card can attack 7 times into monsters,
Yeah.
which is so
Into
crazy.
the same monster too, right? You can just like
Yeah.
continuously. Yeah.
It's over 15,000 damage with
Yeah.
one fusion summon.
How
That's quite
often
fun.
did you make that?
This play I did once. And this card by itself, without this play,
Yeah.
also had me win against purely because he left one monster in attack position. But I can maybe talk about this later.
All right.
Of course, the Mirror Jade and of course the Rindbram, those are the main disruptions you can put up with the branded line.
Yeah.
And as one send target, you can play one Albion. Also, you can hard make this as the Swords Knight is light, which comes up if you like summon this, banish from grave, summon, and this can't attack in the turn it uses the effect, but this can. So you can still put up like a Mirror Jade. So you
Yeah.
have more damage. Then we have a new card, the Magnum the Reliever.
Mm-hmm.
So this card is very great, I think. It lets you draw cards, and it's a board breaking tool and an interruption, so it's multi-purpose.
Yeah.
And it's not always quite easy to make, but for example, an interaction I really like is if you summon Lubellion, use the effect, and then you chain the Chimera fusion, fuse this away, summon the Magnum, and then resolving Lubellion, you can bring out a Mirror Jade.
Yeah.
So you can kind of shortcut it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there are some niche lines if you don't open that great, or if you open full combo plus some extenders, this comes up in
Yeah.
those cases. Then we have some generic cards, I would say. Dragostopelia, like the most generic fusion, I think,
How often do you
um,
make Stapelia over Magnum?
over Magnum. I think in the cases I could have done the cards, it was like it didn't matter. Like
Okay.
both have its use cases.
Okay.
Garuda and the Swamp, not
Mm-hmm.
even for Super Bully, but you need those. Garura is important for some lines, especially with Magnum.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because, for example, Baphomet and Edgimp are both Fiend, so
Mm-hmm.
that's easy to make for Garura. Then you can add a patchwork with the Edgimp chain, use that, and summon the reliever with another Edgimp that you added of patchwork plus this. So you get a draw, shuffle something back, get another draw, and you have 2 polys in grave, so you can even pop something. And yeah, those are some cool lines I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And Swamp is very, very important for playing going second because it just gives you targeting protection for the
Okay.
entire turn, basically.
Yeah.
Then a card that was like more flex than anything else, but I did it once for a game.
Mm-hmm.
You can summon this, of course, with Aluber, and I side Super Poly, so against Branded, it's
Okay.
also a niche target.
Mm.
But in the case that it comes up, you just reduce everything to 0, and then this card is even more OTK because you just need the normal materials to game.
Yeah.
Last card is Shekinaga.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we didn't see anything Shadow related in the main deck, so I think that's a nice bridge to jump over to the side deck.
Yeah.
Okay, I played 3 Drawn Lockbird. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the only hand trap that's really worth playing. I
Mm-hmm.
played against 2 Unchained, where I wish to play Nip, because Nip
Mm-hmm.
beats that deck, but I think it's not worth for the one matchup that is, funny enough, your worst matchup. But
And you
free
kind of
draw
need
also.
it. You kind of need it for Manadium and Synchron, right? The books don't do anything there.
Yeah, you need this for the Synchron deck, for the Manadium deck, for so many matchups actually.
Hmm.
Basically, a lot of tier 1 and tier 2 decks, like
Yeah.
Punk, for example.
Yeah, right.
You can't. Against this deck draw is also pretty good.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Okay, then we have a quite big shuttle engine with 1 beast, 1 dragon, 1 hedgehog, and 3 fusions.
Mm-hmm.
I will just not explain the fusions. It's
Yeah.
another starter.
Yeah.
Um, Dragon is like the best going second card out of them. Beast is nice plus, and Hedgehog has the nice use case of if you use the Shuttle Fusion to summon Shekinaga. Shekinaga actually has the effect to discard shuttle cards to negate effects of
Mm-hmm.
special summoned monsters, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can actually pressure even more.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice part about them is also they're not dead draws, especially going second. They're spellcast to dark, so
Mm-hmm.
Swamp is way
Right.
easier to make. And of course, for Guardian Chimera, using any of these and get
Yeah.
more pluses
And
is
chain block.
also pretty insane. Yeah, chain block as well. For example, against Runic, it doesn't matter if they have another spell to summon a Hugin or something. When you have Dragon plus Guardian Chimera, the Fountain
Yeah.
is always
You
dead.
just double pop.
Yeah,
You sent Gazelle, right? With the Shadow Fusion, Gazelle into Shadow.
right. That's also the only target, I think. You need Earth. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
the only target.
All right.
Earth plus Shuttle into
Mm-hmm.
Shekinaga. Okay, then we have triple Super Poly.
Mm-hmm.
This card is super insane against the Evil Twin deck,
Yeah.
against Espia in the mirror match, but not so good against Purely and Kash, and that's why I played it in the side and not in the main.
Yeah. For the Manadia matchup, do you not play the Draco Equist that a lot of people have played now? The Super Poly?
As I follow Dinkabui on Twitter, I just do not care about Manadium because it's a bad deck.
All right.
Okay. Last card is Evenly Matched, which is the worst card in the deck. You should never play this as one of the main win cons. For example, this card just doesn't work under it. And
Yeah, right.
you just want your battle phase to clear the entire board.
Yeah. Do you know what you would swap it with?
There are a lot of options. Like you could just play normal Cosmic or Twin Twister because anti-spell is a big problem. You could play Lightning Storm and Feather Storm, but I don't really like that.
Yeah.
Feather Duster, sorry. You could play Kaijus actually because if the purely player does play around the books, which happens a lot after the game 1, the books are not as good anymore. You could play Nib, for example. You could play Ash for the Destiny matchup to make it easier. There are a lot of slots you could fit in here. A card I really wish to play was the Wengu. As you can search this because it's a level 4 beast, and then you can just fuse it away and use the level 6 fusion to summon it back from the graveyard. And as long as the sprite player doesn't have like a Dark Ruler or a Runic spell to immediately remove it, it's game by itself.
Yeah, just floodgates them. All right.
Yeah.
Can you show us the main line, how you play the main line, and maybe the branded fusion line?
Okay. So in this deck, as I don't play like a big branded engine, the main line doesn't really change from the brand line except you have one more fusion. So and just show the branded fusion and say what's different. So you use the branded fusion to summon the Rinbram.
Yep.
As Rinbram also can use a beast, you can use the Gazelle on fusion summon, or when it's used for fusion material, you can add one illusion monster. Here you could kind of play around roll if you want to. If you add this immediately, you can still normal it, get the advantage in opponent's turn.
Yeah.
But normally I would just add this card to have this, so you have the target negate. You normal summon this, as you didn't normal summon yet. You use the effect to summon the Baphomet. Here you will add your fusion, and as you already use Gazelle, I would recommend to add the Springan's Kit, as it's also beast and you want it in graveyard for another branded fusion setup potentially, and also keeping the Gazelle in deck allows you more follow-up or like more play lines in the future.
And post side, this could be Wangu, right?
Yes. Post side, this could be Wangu. Okay. You use the fusion, you summon this one. Then you have still the one trigger effect of Baphomet to summon back the Mirror Swords Knight, which is a quick effect, which is very important as you can just use it in the draw phase to summon Baphomet, or if you want to play around Thrust, you can just let it sit there because it cannot be destroyed by battle, which is the unique mechanic of the new illusion monsters. The fusion is really good, as you can just add it back when you control this card or the other fusion. So you can set it for the opponent's turn. You rip a hand card. You have to activate this effect, and this is mandatory after you used it. You have the Rinbram. Also a nice play is you can actually use the Chimera fusion. When you use this draw phase, for example, you can just bring out the second Baphomet so you can show off the combo a bit better. This is your follow-up. You can just use the fusion, use, for example, the Rinbram, the Gazelle, and the Baphomet on field.
Yeah.
Summon the Guardian Chimera. resolve those effects, but you also have this in graveyard, so you can quick effect just shift it, summon the Albas, and use
Like
that
merge
as another
it.
interruption.
Hmm?
Yes. The main line doesn't really differ. The thing is just you start with this, get out the Baphomet, search your cards again, use the fusion, summon the big fusion, get out. As you didn't use Gazelle here, you want to add it off Baphomet, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Now you can add the Coatl, as you didn't use it
Hmm.
until this point. You can bring this back, you add this back to hand. You can use this if you want, but you don't have to.
Hmm.
Um, and in this case, I would actually just shotgun this and draw phase again,
Yeah.
as you want a free negate from graveyard.
Yeah. And then you can get Kit, and Kit gets you branded fusions follow up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
That's
right.
basically it with the deck profile.
Cool. Thanks for being here. And everyone, leave a comment below. Did you like the deck? How do you play this deck? And see you next time.